Welcome back to Speak Up Queen, the podcast where we empower, uplift, and celebrate women who have reclaimed their voices to inspire others. Today, we welcome the incredible Donna Najar to the Speak Up Queen podcast. Donna is a renowned psychotherapist, relationship coach, author, and national speaker who is on a mission to empower single Catholic women to date intentionally, stop settling, and start choosing wisely. With her expertise, Donna gives women the confidence and tools to recognize when a man is worth their time and when it's time to walk away. Donna's journey is a testament to the power of healing, self-worth, and relationship intentionally. Through her transformation and the strategies she used to find her husband, David, she inspires women to step into their power and build the loving partnerships they deserve. Get ready for an insightful and empowering conversation with Donna Najar as she shares her story, her wisdom, and her passion for helping women transform their love lives. Well, Donna, welcome.
Thank you.
What was the most challenging limiting belief you had to overcome, and how did breaking free from it help you reclaim your voice?
I think for that self-limiting, it would have to be that I'm not enough, balanced by, in a terrible way, I'm too much. So in situations, I would go between those two, and it was so self-defeating. And so I really had to fight against that to become the woman I am today. And I don't struggle with that today.
Wow, that's incredibly powerful. Thank you for sharing that transformation. It's amazing how breaking free from those limiting beliefs can unlock so much true potential. How do you think that shift has impacted the way you show up in the world today?
Okay, it has impacted it dramatically because I think without going through that suffering, that stress, that just confusion, I would not be who I am today, and I would not have attracted my incredible husband. Because in the past, I attracted very unhealthy men or men who just weren't right for me. And that's part of it. And then I help women now, right? That's part of the introduction is I help women to overcome these things. Well, I believe that you should only go to people for guidance if they have what you want. So if I want financial advice, I can't go to someone who doesn't have a dollar in their pocket, right? And so if anyone wants to come to me and learn about how do I get past things I've been through so I can then be healthy enough to attract a good man, you have to go to someone who's happily married. And so that makes a big difference. And then I'm able to use my vulnerability and share that these are things I've been through. So they don't think like, oh, she just has this easy life. Like, no, I fought like heck to get to where I am today.
And I must say, that's where I am so privileged and grateful because I met my husband when I was 17 years old, when I just started sharing my story, or I went to the police and shared my story, and then that police officer silenced me. But my husband was with me through everything. He was there
Mm.
through everything. So I am very blessed that I've met my husband. And when I was 17, I'm not old, and I've actually we've been together for 17 years now. So
You
it,
don't look old enough. Are you sure you're doing the math correctly? I don't know. You look like you're in your very early 20s, so I'm pretty blown away.
it's my skincare. It's
Your
my
skin is fabulous. Yes.
but so many women that I've actually spoken to was like, Marika, you are very lucky because coming from an abusive family, sexually abused, childhood trauma, I normally attracted those boys when I was in
Mhm.
school. And I just never wanted a husband or anyone. I just said, I want to be free. I want to not ever trust a man in my life. And
Mm.
then he just showed up one night in the bar. Can you believe it? Yes, I was in the bar. And my life really changed. So it is really, I'm very blessed and grateful that I didn't have to go through the things that you as other women had to go through and rinse and repeat, go through bad relationships,
Mhm.
go through that heartache,
Yep.
where I am just we've been through it together. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some people find true love when they are 50, 60. Some might never find it. So it's really, I'm glad that you are here and that you can share your story to help other women who
Thanks.
who mm, how can I say it? That they don't make the same mistakes that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is
Exactly.
just amazing.
Mhm. Thank you for this opportunity because, when you go through this suffering, we don't want to waste it. There's no point. It doesn't help to just, oh, I suffered. We need it to be for the greater good, that I can take what I learned. And if I can save one woman from going through what I went through, the world is a better place now.
Definitely. Donna, can you share when someone's words or actions make you feel small and how you found the strength to rise above it?
Mhm. Yeah, oh my gosh, so many of those moments, and to think about it. When I was growing up, things would be put on me. Like they would tell me things like, this is a fact, you are blank. And I was told growing up that, and it was the same phrase every time, you are hateful, ugly acting, and selfish. That was the phrase. And even as a kid, I thought, I'm just a pretty normal kid. I do little kid, stupid things, but I was a pretty good kid. But it seemed like I could never please. And so when those words that they would try to put that on me, I would always think like, what is this? Like it didn't quite fit. And it was when I was an adult and finally got away from that environment that people started consistently saying to me, you were so thoughtful and kind. And I would almost look behind me like, who are they talking to? Because I'm hateful, ugly acting, and selfish. And then one day it hit me, huh, if that many people think I'm nice, what if they're right and they were wrong? And that was a huge turning point in my life.
That must have been so hard to experience, but the way you rose above it is incredibly inspiring. So, yeah, just thank you for sharing it. Do you find that experience motivates you to lift others going through something similar?
Oh, yes, because, it's if let's say you're out with people and maybe someone has some, spinach in between their two front teeth, you want to say, hey, honey, you got a little, because even though it's embarrassing in that moment, we're so grateful. Thank you for telling me. I've been walking around like this for hours and no one said a word, right? So when I hear of someone who is caught up in this pain, and as you said, I liked your phrase, rinse and repeat. That was perfect, right? And so when I hear of someone and they're stuck in this loop, I want to say I can help you, which is why I enjoy being a podcast guest so much and appreciate these opportunities. Like, the host are always so grateful for us. Like, okay, thank you, but I'm grateful for you because then I can reach more women. And I wish I had this resource when I was younger because I only had that negativity coming in, but yet at times they would try to put me on a pedestal and it was like, wait, those two things don't match. So I was very confused. And of course, I went through that rinse and repeat cycle because of it.
Yes. What safety resources, spaces, or tools have most impacted your healing journey?
Okay, what was the first part? What?
Safety resources, spices, or tools have most impacted your healing journey?
Okay, that's a great question. So it would be the healthier I got emotionally, the healthier the people were, I attracted into my world. And I'm not saying law of attraction. That's not the way I look at life. It's that I think like attracts like, pathology attracts pathology is the formal, harder way of saying it. And so I started surrounding myself by people that didn't have this weird way of looking at life, that when I would say something negative about myself, they would look at me like, what are you doing? What are you saying? And so having that reflection mirrored back to me, oh, okay. So it helped me when I realized I'm the common denominator. And to use an example, I am not very good at math. It's not my forte. I'm great at other stuff, not good at math. So when I had to take a math course in grad school, what I did, and even in college, I took it in the summer and I took nothing else. That way I could live, eat, and breathe math, because with me putting in, I don't know, 15-hour days studying, going to class, studying, seeing my tutor all day long, I had to do that in order for me to pull out a C. And that was me trying my hardest, where otherwise I made straight A's throughout, like grad school. So that's how, and that was a C in undergrad. Grad school, I did even better. But that's how I took healing what I realized was an insecure attachment. So I took essentially 90 days and I said, I'm going to live, eat, and breathe healing. And when I'm done in 90 days, God willing, with a lot of hard work and tears and sometimes anger, right? So frustrated with things, I want to no longer have an insecure attachment. And at the end of the 90 days, I took an online assessment, answered the questions. And when I was, holding my breath, like, what are the results going to say? And it said, you have a secure attachment. I was like, oh my gosh, because neuroplasticity, it can happen in 90 days. You can change the way your brain thinks. And so even today, I took one, I don't know, a month ago, I thought, let's just do it again. Secure. I'm like, okay, great.
I love how intentional you've been about finding out what works for you. What's one practical step for those listening to begin creating their own safe spaces or finding resources?
So I think, well, my favorite book is Attachments, and the two authors are Clinton, Clinton, and the other co-author is Sibcy, Sibcy. It is from a non-Catholic Christian perspective. I think it's the best book written on attachments. And as a person goes through, they're either going to say, oh, I'm okay, I'm secure, I'm that person. Or they're going to be one of three types of insecure, and they're going to be like, that's me on page 7. That explains my whole life. And that book has so many insights from a Christian viewpoint. I just think it's one of the best resources. And then I have little tools that I use too. So for example, if we went down to my bedroom, which we're not going to do because that'd be weird, but if we did, you'll see next to, on my nightstand next to the bed, I have a picture of me framed at, I think I'm probably 5 years old in it. I didn't have one of me at 4. I think 4 is a great age to do this at, because that's when our personality is really set. And when I was going through this healing process, I would talk to little Dana, the little me. And so I'd say, little Dana, today I have a big meeting and I'm going to show up as the adult. I want you to rest. And it's a way of reparenting. And even though you're obviously not going back in time, because that would be very strange too, it still changes the neuroplasticity in the brain. And then at the end of the day, I would say, I handled it. I showed up. Or at one point you wanted to go and color or get cotton candy at a ball game or something. I took care of that inner child. And so that picture, even though I don't have to speak to her any longer in that way most of the time, I can still connect with that little girl. And my husband, because he is so delightful, he is a saint walking on this earth, he likes to pamper the adult me and the little girl me. And I don't mean that in some weird, creepy way. But one year he surprised me at Easter and he said, come outside. And he handles all the yard, the garden. I just say what I like and don't like. And that's all I do. I don't do anything else. And I'm like, babe, like I'm so sleepy. Can I see whatever like plant you want to show me later? No, come on, come on. You're going to like this. Okay, so I go out there in my robe and I get out there and I'm like, and I'm looking around and then I look at him and he's grinning from ear to ear. He set up an Easter egg hunt for me. So for the little girl and me, he still included some chocolate and stuff because I love me some chocolate, but he included adult women gifts like a piece of jewelry, a gift card to one of my favorite stores or coffee shop or something. And that's the sort of thing he does to honor that little girl, because he remembered me saying how much fun that was as a little girl to go on an Easter egg hunt. So isn't that sweet?
It's amazing. It's just so you don't live between past each other. They are really taking in what we are saying. They are really listening. And that's
Yes,
something that is really scarce, especially
yes,
in friendships and relations, as listening to each other's points and listening to what they are actually saying. So
that's
yeah,
right.
it is, I can just imagine how much fun it was. Oh
It
my.
was. It was because it took me back to being a little girl. So if you enjoyed as a child sitting on a swing set, okay, every once in a while, go sit on a swing set because that, going back and forth, think about the freedom we felt when we were like this big, right? You felt like you could touch the sky. And it also emulates us being in our mother's bodies before we were born and being in that amniotic fluid. Why else do children like being rocked so much? Because it reminds them of that. If you like coloring, as a kid, get an adult coloring book. My childhood doll, which is a doll that you would not even know the name of because it came from a TV show before you were ever born. Um, I have a copy of her, a vintage one, in my closet because it reminds me of being a little girl. And when I get really upset or frightened about something, that's the inner child. So for my husband, he loves trains, has nothing to do with trains, but loves trains. So we like to antique. And in the United States, there are little towns everywhere, little antique stores everywhere. There's a ton of stuff in America to go and look at, I have to tell you. And so when we go through these towns, we'll look up, okay, we're going to go to whatever town, and I'll look up to see, is there a train depot? And most of them are now historical, they're museums, because we all have cars. So if I say to my husband, hey babe, this weekend we go here or there, there's a train depot. He lights up and I see that little boy in him. Now, do I need to see another train depot? No. Absolutely not. There's really nothing new to see. They're all pretty much the same, but it makes him so happy. And I like that my husband's happy. So I read every placard with them, and we stay there a lot longer than I would. I would like do 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 and get out. Man, I just let him do his own pace and enjoy himself.
That is like me and my husband and tools. Oh my word. It is like seriously, but I did realize that that was something that I needed to do because he's always walking with me on my
That's right.
creation and he never complains. And here I am and my son complaining that, oh, another tool shop. Don't you have
Uh-huh.
enough tools? And that's when I realized, nah, it's
No, yeah,
he loves it. And let me, just as he's supporting me, I can do the exact, I'm not going to die. It's not dangerous. It is something for him. But I do
exactly.
realize now, every time I walk into a toy store, I want a Barbie. I want a Barbie doll because I said to myself, I never had a Barbie as a child. I never had.
Oh,
And then my son is like, Mom, you're too old. I'm like, no, I don't think that I'm too old. I want a doll. I want a Barbie. And I think, you know what? Next week or when it's Christmas, I'm gonna buy
uh-huh.
myself a Barbie. And that
Do it.
Barbie is gonna be mine because I just
That's
want
right.
one.
That's exactly right. Why not? Because your brain doesn't actually distinguish between I'm little and it happened or I'm doing it now. So the part of your brain as a little girl going, I want a Barbie is going to be satiated, satisfied. And every once in a while you pull it out, you play with the hair, you look at it and put it away. It's not like you're going to be doing it all the time. My father sadly, unexpectedly passed away last May. It was very sudden. It was a terrible thing. God rest his soul. And at one point, I pulled out that childhood doll because it reminded me of being a little girl when my father was alive and vibrant and strong and not a weak older man because he passed when he was 80, 82. Yeah. And so something as simple as I probably held the doll for a minute, but it was soothing. Why not? Why not? Right? Because I've treated my inner child so well now as an adult, I don't have to do those things. I'm not sitting in a corner sucking my thumb. I don't have to be locked away someplace and protected from myself because of that healing work. And all of that happens because it's hard work, it's painful, and then God is good.
Definitely. I am like, I know what I'm gonna buy myself for Christmas. I'm like super excited. Oh,
I can't wait. Okay, I want to see a picture when you get it. Please send me an email with a shot of you
I
and
am
Bart.
definitely gonna do that. That's
Awesome.
you just I'm excited. This little girl inside of me is like very excited, and I can buy my own one with
That's
one
right.
that I love. Oh, let's
Mhm.
go on
That's right.
because now I'm like, anyway, what was your first step from feeling silence to finding your voice, and how did that change your life?
Mhm. Um, when I realized that the phrase that we use, I don't know if it's a phrase that y'all use, is blood is thicker than water. So it's all about if somebody says, oh, my mother did these horrible things, people, at least a lot of people in the US who are very codependent will say, but that's your mother. Okay, if somebody told me you have to be friends with this person, they're going to be able to cook this really well and they can sew really well. However, they're going to call you names, gaslight you, manipulate you, accuse you, abuse you, but you have to put up with that. People would be like, nah, no, I don't want to be friends with that person. So why does it matter that they're family? So when I learned I'm saying healthy boundaries and they're pushing back and telling me things like, who do you? At that point, I'd been through cancer once. I've been through it twice. God, thank bless God that He got me through it. I've been married, have a child because I've been married before my husband, my sweet husband David. And I thought, something's wrong with y'all that you're telling me I have to take abuse from another relative, and yet you, Dad, were flipping out about how you were treated. But when I say, yeah, I'm not going to stay here anymore, I was told off. And I mean, I was a grown woman in my 40s, and I was told, like, you do what we say when we want, when we tell you to. And I thought, no, no, I'm not. So I no longer would be silenced. And I held to my word. I no longer stayed in one of my relatives' homes anymore because of the mistreatment that went on during that trip.
And the first step is always the hardest. It's like
Mhm.
stepping into the unknown, but discovering your own strength. It's
Love it. Yes.
the amazing part of it. What
Mhm.
advice would you give someone hesitating to take that first step?
Mhm. Is to not rely on just yourself, to go to people in your life that, again, as I said earlier, have what you want. Because if you go to your highly dysfunctional girlfriend and say, hey, what should I do? They're going to give you really bad advice like, no, don't say anything, don't rock the boat. So either go to some really wise people, find, your pastor, your priest, a deacon, a spiritual director, a therapist, a coach, go to someone and get guidance so that they can tell you, I think you have a good plan, or you may want to massage the plan a little bit, and you're on the right track. Yeah, because it helped me so much. I had a priest tell me once in a conversation that had nothing to do with what I was going through. It was really related about totally different topic. And at one point, some information came out because I had to take a phone call. And he looked at me and he said, do you know, Dana, you were not put on this earth to be abused. And I remember my jaw literally hung open. I remember thinking, close your mouth. Because I was like, what? What do you mean? What? But the
Well,
people who abuse you are the ones who are going to be offended when you say, I won't put up with this. So you don't have to set boundaries with people who don't need boundaries. You only set them with people who are encroaching, right?
definitely. What's one powerful lesson you've learned about self-worth? And how do you carry it with you as you continue to grow and inspire others?
That I am a beloved daughter of the Most High God, and that I have an inherent dignity that no one can take from me. I have a heritage that no one can steal from me, and that He is who I have to please, and that all the things I do on earth in the end are all about being with him in eternity. So when people try to say, because I'm Catholic, so when people say ugly things about my faith or ugly things about me from like, family members and stuff, I think, no, that's not how God made me. And that's just, I reject lies. So like I'm tall, okay, I'm 5'8". So if someone said to me, and I have dark hair, okay, I mean, obviously I have a hairdresser at my age who helps me with it, but I do have naturally dark hair. So if someone said to me, you're a tiny little, like short of redhead, I'm not going to argue with you. Can you not see I'm 5'8" and I have dark hair from my hairdresser? I'm not going to argue with them, right? So if someone tries to put something on me like you were hateful, selfish, and ugly acting, I'm going to reject it. And what I say is, and I'll say it out loud, I mean, not to make a scene in public, but I will say it out loud, in the name of Jesus, I reject the lie that I am hateful, ugly acting, and selfish, because I will not have that on me, because even if I was those things, that's not what Jesus would say to me. He would say in a very kind way to touch my heart, to be like, Dana, redirect yourself, babe. You're going down a wrong road. So when someone is ugly like that, it's never of God.
Definitely.
Mhm.
If you could tell your 17-year-old self one thing, what would it be and why?
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. If I could go back and grab that young woman. To not ignore red flags, because that's what happens a lot with the women that I work with in my private practice as a clinician. And I can only work in the state of Texas. That's how the licensure is, the particular license that I have. As I say psychotherapist, it's the easiest way to explain it, but I'm technically a licensed professional counselor. So because I want to go outside of my state and then internationally, I do relationship coaching. And what I would tell myself is what I've learned from these women is, because I did this, is a man would exhibit really bad behavior, and it would be an outright lie. It wasn't like, well, that's your opinion. No, it was a lie. And something would happen in my life, I'm lied to, and I would simply move past it. And what women say to me all the time is, well, he did X and such. Okay, what happened then? We moved past it. Okay, back up for just a moment. You said you lied about X and such. And then what happened? We moved past it. No, no. Okay, I'll bring it back again. And eventually they'll say, oh, we just went out and got pizza. So what I would tell my 17-year-old self is, don't ignore red flags. And when someone tells you and shows you who they are, believe them, because often women will say that men lie to them. And when I say, let's say John Doe, and I'll say, okay, so John Doe lied to you about his pornography usage, and he said he'd been sober for 5 years. You found out he's never been sober for pornography, and now you're so far in. Do you break up? It's been 2 years. Part of your baby making years are going by. Okay, so women have all these conflicts, and if I say, so he lied, and so he's a liar. Dana, he's not a liar. What do you mean he's not a liar? Did he lie? Yes. What do we call people who lie? Liars. All right. So it's to not ignore the red flags and to not make excuses. Get away from people who lie to you. Because if I'm a matchmaker, I'm not, please, no one call me to matchmake anybody. It'd be fun, but I'm not. If I said to you, I found the guy you want, here's his folder, he's all these things that you want. Oh, and he's a liar, you would fire me and get a refund. But people do it to themselves all the time. So don't fall into that trap, because then if they'll lie to you while they're pursuing you, you're going to have a marriage based on falsehoods.
Definitely.
Mhm.
I know when we were growing up, it was always the same thing.
Mhm.
Dad cheating, mom starts struggling with herself, with sweet talking her,
Mhm.
forgiveness. It was the same pattern all the time. Like it wasn't
Exactly.
it never stopped. It was
Yeah.
it just never stopped,
Mhm.
and they don't change. Some people
No.
really do, but some people just like to be that person.
Yep. Well, let them change for the next woman, right? Like I pray to God that John Doe that I just broke up with gets healing and meets a wonderful woman someday and can look back and say, what a jerk I was. Thank goodness I changed and look at my beautiful wife. But they're not for you because you don't need to wait around and settle for anyone. What Jesus is going to come down and be like, girl, we all talked in heaven. You have to settle for this guy who's never going to love you, never truly pursue you, and you're going to be living either with a stranger or with your enemy. And that's the scariest is when the person you marry is your enemy because they have most likely narcissistic personality disorder or they have antisocial personality disorder. That person has never loved you. If you think they did, they were faking it just to get you.
And that's so sad that so many women falls into that trap, and
Yep,
it is just scary. It's really scary.
it is.
And I feel like also society pressed us as women. You must be a certain age to get married. You have to be a certain age to be pregnant. Otherwise, you're going to get old and you won't be able to. And me and my husband was talking about it. Not that we will change anything, but if we knew what we knew now, we wouldn't be married. Yes, we would probably would get married at a young age, but we would travel the world first before we started having our son, build a stability home, all those things. But life did have another route, which I'm very grateful for because there I am. But still,
Yep.
it was checklist. You have to be this age. You have to wait this age. And we are all
Yep.
put in a box. And we are all like, what was that guy? I can't remember that movie where all the people were, that animation movie where all the people were put into cubicles. And I'm like,
I don't remember.
I can't remember the, but anyway. And I'm like, God didn't want us to fit in. He wants us to stand out. I mean, there's no one like me. No one can.
Exactly.
My voice is mine. My fingerprints is mine. And it's like, I really hope that each and every woman, that's why Speak Up Queen this is Speak Up Queen, and this is where women share their story. But to the listeners, I really hope that you take in these notes. I really hope that you've got a notebook and write down these things so that you can start your healing journey, so that you can see the red flags before you need to go through the same things we as other women did, as guides did. Because Speak Up Queen is a survival guide for any woman out there. And I really hope that they really listen closely, especially for relationships. Listen to what you're saying, because it will make such a huge difference in your life. And we only have now. Like, we don't have the past, is gone. We don't even know what's going to happen in the next minute. This is now the
That's
moment.
right. Yeah, not tomorrow. We don't know. Exactly.
And it's just, and I don't want any woman to waste their lives. I mean, I was 30 years old when we decided to move to Australia, that I decided that I'm going to leave my 17-year-old at the airport in South Africa. And I said to her, you know what? I'm going to leave you here. It's a safe spot in South Africa, in the airport. I'm going to move to Australia. I'm going to find out who am I without limiting beliefs, the environment and everything. And it took me really 5 years to become this person. And I don't want any woman out there to be silenced for 17 years or for 13 years. If they can take something on now to start living the life that they are supposed to, that's all that I want. And I really hope that I take notes. Like, seriously.
I love that. Yeah, so important.
Yes. How do you set boundaries to protect your energy and peace? And what have you learned from this practice?
I'm comfortable now with saying no. And someone said, I thought this was the funniest expression years ago. They said to me, because somebody was complaining at it was when I was first getting my license and I was working at a mental health facility, and I would see people during the day, not people who had to be locked away, but during the day, and they just needed a little bit more before they were sent out into the world totally unfettered. And these women did not want to follow the policies of the hospital. And I'm new. And so they're pushing back on me. And I'm like, those are the policies. So I go to my boss. I'm like, hey, these women are really upset about this policy. And I don't know what to say to them. And she looks at me and she goes, Dana, they can get happy in the same pants they got sad in. I was like, okay, I like that. It's silly, but I like it. So when I say no to someone, if they get upset with it, it doesn't change me at all. So if I say to you, I can't make 2 dozen cupcakes for the church bake sale, I can make a dozen. If they keep pushing back, I can say, I can either make a dozen or I can make nothing. What would you like?
Mm.
And I put it back on them. And another thing I do with boundaries is once I say something and put it out there, for example, I'll make this up. If you choose to curse in here, then I will have no choice but to ask you to leave, like that sort of thing. And then it gets really awkward. And so what I teach my clients and what I do myself is I picture if awkward was like a thing, like let's say it's right there, it's a thing. And when it gets really awkward, you say the thing and you just let it hang there and it gets quiet. People get uncomfortable and they start talking. Well, I mean, just try not to use such, so many curse words. And I mean, no. And what I picture is I'm embracing the awkward instead of like, oh, this is so awkward. I have to say something. No, why should I be the one to say something? Let them be awkward and say something. So I just get quiet. And inside, I tell my people, I say, don't show it on your face, but inside, be thinking, it's kind of funny, but just don't show it. So those are a couple little tricks.
Yes. And sometimes my husband says he can see everything. The answer is on my face. I don't have a filter on my face. That's the problem. I can't hide my feelings
Yeah,
at all, if only. But
yeah.
I don't want to hide it. I want people to know exactly who I am, where they stand
Mhm,
with me. I don't have
mhm,
because, and I feel firmly because for 30 years, that's what I was doing. I was just people
mhm,
pleasing, being
mhm.
silent, doing things that my body was screaming, Marika, get out of
Yep,
this place, get out of this
mhm,
friendship,
yep,
walk away. And yet
yep.
I was like, but what if they would change? What if they will be,
If.
and that, and I, it
Mhm,
was just like this cycle again, the cycle that's
yep.
going on. And now
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I don't need to be in this room.
Yeah,
If
that's
you can
right.
take me out,
Leave.
then
Yeah.
and
If you're not happy and you're not enjoying it, oh, but it's 2 more hours. Well, for y'all, not for me. And my husband, when we have a little agreement between us, and I tell couples and people, you can use what we say and steal it, or you could come up with your own thing. So if I say to my husband, I'm ready to go, that means, oh, I'm tired. We've been here a while. I'm literally like ready to go. But if I say to him, I need to go, that means help me find my purse. Let's grab our jackets.
mm,
I don't have time for you to go, what happened? Well, blah, blah, blah. And this happened. And so now my feelings are hurt. No. And I've only had to use it once.
mm,
And he got me out the door so fast. And I made some comment. I don't remember what I said, but I said something to him along the lines of like, well, that was really fast. And he just looks at me like real seriously. And he normally doesn't look at me this way. And he goes, you said you needed to go. So we went. Then in the car, I can say, well, here's what happened.
mm,
But that way we don't have to have a big explanation with maybe the perpetrator looking at us and finding out. Or what if we're in public and there's some dangerous person and no one else sees? Because when you come from a childhood of abuse, you've been through a lot, we tend to be hyper vigilant. So I sit at restaurants, at theaters. I'm the one who wants to watch. So I may have ADD, but when I'm in public, I'm scanning. So if I see someone, I'm thinking something bad is about to go down, my husband and I will get out of there because he knows what I'll say. So I think people need some sort of code, or they could say the word platypus,
mm,
whatever, something so that you can get out and get to safety, either emotional safety, physical safety, whatever that is. Yeah. Or maybe I think I'm about to throw up. I feel sick. I
mm,
don't need him to say, honey, what's wrong? Because then I'm going to throw up. I don't want to throw up in front of people in public, right? So it has many, many benefits to it. And it's what you said earlier. It means he's listening to me. Because how would I feel if I said, I need to go? And he was like, well, let me go get another ham sandwich and say my goodbyes. How would I feel? Like I needed you in that moment. So the fact that he was on it made me feel very safe and protected. Even though I wasn't in a dangerous place, I felt safe and protected, which was lovely.
And your body, and especially as survivors, my husband is always like, how did you know that? I'm like, I can feel it in my skin. If I don't like you, I can feel it in my skin that this
That's right.
person is not. And he's like, but how do I'm like, unfortunately, as a survivor, these are the things
Mhm.
that happens. We are
That's right.
we are always, yeah. So it is like
Mhm.
definitely, and your body will tell you. That's an amazing thing when
Yes.
you allow yourself in your body and you're not living in your
Mhm.
head. It will
Yes.
tell you. So
Yeah. Because if your stomach, let's say your body tells you by, let's say your stomach shakes, okay? And everyone else is like, oh my gosh, John or Jane Doe is here. Oh, we're so excited. But your stomach goes, ooh, like, no. If you just sit back, don't get overly involved, it will not be days or weeks before you find out they've been arrested, they were embezzling, they manipulated people, they sexually assaulted some, right? So that is what I consider a discernment of spirits from God, telling you someone in a situation is of God or not. And how many of us, when we were little, we knew it's like part of our brain went, there's danger. But when you keep being told by these abusers, you're wrong, it's not that bad. After a while, it's like that doesn't work. And so you have to do the healing to come out of it to be like, hey, whenever I feel this, bad things happen. And so I'm going to listen and respect what God is giving me. Yeah.
I love it. It is just we are just beautifully made. Like seriously, we are
Right.
really amazing made.
Thank you, Lord. Yep. God is good. He's the
Thank you.
great, Jesus is the great physician. He's the one who does the healing. We have to participate because if we sit here like, God, fix this, God's like, who are you talking to? So if we reach up to heaven and do all that we can do, God will reach down and meet us. But if we sit here like, fix it, that doesn't
Nope,
work. And we're just going to be in more misery until we learn our lesson.
definitely. How do you stay grounded when challenges comes up now compared to before?
So I really focus on gratitude. That's one thing. And I like to write in a gratitude journal, not type it, not put it in my phone. When you write it, it connects both sides of the brain, so the creative and the logical side. And then it also helps you remember it. And there is so much research behind. When you focus on gratitude, your happiness quotient goes up, not this much, exponentially. So that's part of it. And then I also focus on, let's say some new suffering has come, like, again, I've had cancer twice. It's not like when I was told by these doctors you have cancer, I was like, oh, thank you for the suffering. I'm so happy. Okay, that was not my reaction, I promise you. But I could get to the place where I could say, thank you, Lord, because by giving me the suffering, I have a little bit of understanding about what you went through on the cross. So to me, to be able to offer up that suffering and thank him versus going into victim mode. Poor me, woe is me, And then I also allow myself a pity party. So let's say a really stinky thing happens and I had no power over it. It happened. I will tell myself, let's say it's 5 o'clock, until 8 o'clock tonight, I'm going to have a pity party. So I'm going to sit on the couch and be a little, and maybe I'll eat some ice cream. And when 8 o'clock rolls around, it's over. Because as a kid, I was told all the time, get that look off of your face. Because if I didn't show this 24/7, you just yelled at me, okay, I'm going to smile. So I allow myself to feel my feelings, but I don't allow myself to wallow. And the other thing I do that to me, this is the biggest game changer in my entire life, to forgive people. And this is what happens all the time. So I'm working with a client. We've tried all the different tools, but they're still stuck. Okay. So I'll say to them, okay, you told me about the story about, John or Jane Doe. Have you forgiven them? Well, I mean, I haven't told them, but I haven't thought about it in 10 years. Have you forgiven them? Well, I mean, I don't carry a grudge. Have you forgiven them? Yeah, I have. Okay, so you carry no unforgiveness. Nope. Was someone ever mean to you growing up during, let's say, your elementary school years? Yeah, second grade was rough. There was this kid, he used to call me stupid and stinky, whatever their story is. Okay, and do you remember his name or her name? Okay, it was, Bob. All right. Have you forgiven Bob? I haven't thought about Bob in 25 years. Okay. If you have not forgiven him, you're still carrying it. And I don't mean go try to find Bob on social media. You don't need to reach out to a bully, but the formula that I use is out loud. In the name of Jesus, I forgive Bob for calling me stupid and stinky. Let's pretend he pulled my hair. I'm going to do the whole thing again and add pull my hair, because that way you get it off of you. And if you think about when Jesus gave us the Lord's Prayer, as I say, the Our Father, talks about trespasses. So if we're not actively forgiving, it's going to be the biggest boundary and fence in our world that's going to stop us from healing.
Definitely. That's so, so true. And when you forgive the person that hurt you, it is you are feeling lighter. You
Oh,
can
yes.
you can feel different. You can breathe more. You can. It's like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
just it's like a part of you that is just like getting off.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Because a lot of times people will say, okay, I'll say it in front of you, Dana. In the name of Jesus, I forgive my mother for, giving me up when I was 7, whatever the thing is. And they'll actually say, I just took a deep breath. I didn't know, but I don't think I've taken a deep breath since I was that age. And even as I'm saying that, and that's a made up story, I actually still feel the Holy Spirit goosebumps in this moment. And then we have to backfill it because of nature. God abhors a vacuum. So if we're asking him to take this burden from us, what do we want instead? What's the opposite? So Lord, I pray for peace. And you say it out loud. There's all these spiritual reasons, but without going into it, it's important to say it out loud. I don't mean to go announce it in front of people. They're going to think you're weird, but just in your own home. And even if you're driving and someone cuts you off and they almost cause you to wreck, if the police were here, they would get ticketed, but they shoot you the finger. In the name of Jesus, I forgive the guy in the gray truck. You don't want that on you. It's the number one block to healing is unforgiveness.
Mm-hmm. How do you define thriving today, and what mindset shifts or practices help you embrace that definition?
Thriving is when I'm at peace and I'm not thinking, a little bit like you mentioned earlier, I'm not stuck in the past and I'm not thinking about tomorrow. Like, I'll be happy when we get the bigger house, when we get the bigger car, no, I'm thriving when I can be at peace and I have my basic needs met, food, shelter, I'm warm. And just being with my husband, our son who's 30 now, just being with the people I love is the greatest gift, and I'm thriving. Because if I'm stuck in victimhood, I'm not thriving.
And thriving can mean so many different things to different people. And I love your perspective. I love being with my husband and my son, and just have a safe home. And that's the things that I will pray each night and thank the Lord for: food,
That's
healthy
right.
body, healthy mind, all these things. So it's really, it can be, thriving can be for different things, but peace is one of those things. Where for
Yes,
me, it is feeling safe in my body, knowing
that's
that I
right.
have a husband that loves me for me, that I've been through all the things with me, and still loves me for me. And that is one of the things
Right.
that I'll ever be grateful for.
Love that.
The last question. What made you decide to be featured on Speak Up Queen? And how does it feel knowing there's a safe space for women to share their stories and inspire others?
I was so attracted to what I read about you because I looked into the podcast. I'm like, wait, what is Speak Up Queen? What does that mean? Because it can mean 1,000 things, right? And so I looked at your website and I thought, oh my gosh, she has been through dark, tough times. And now, because of her faith and her hard work, she's come out on the other side of it, and you help other women. I thought, how beautiful, because it doesn't mean that men don't need help. We have sons, we have husbands we love. I love men. I don't consider myself a feminist, a modern feminist. I love the good men in my life, right? And so I just felt called, which it sounds like you felt called, to work with women specifically. And so I loved your message and I thought, wow, this aligns. This like naturally aligns. It wasn't like, well, how could we work this to make it fit? It was a natural, and you were so responsive, and boom, it was done. And I was like, I love it. Some of these I wait months to get on a show, and that's okay. This, I was like, yeah, this is meant to be, because it was so fast how we connected and this happened. I didn't want to wait longer. I was like, no, I could have chosen some dates out, and I was like, no, I'm going for like a couple days for now. I want to be on the show.
Well, you are part of the first 100 episodes of Speak Up Queen, and I am so excited that we've made it work. Like, no technology, no sound problems, no
No.
internet problems. Today was just like it was meant to be.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing your powerful and inspiring story today. Your journey reminds us of the strength and courage it takes to heal, grow, and thrive. To everyone listening, remember your voice and story have the power to inspire and create change. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share it with someone who needs this message. Until next time, Queens, keep speaking up and embrace your power.